Great day. Great way to start a beautiful day outside. Birds are singing. It's nice and warm. It's great. You know, all over Canada right now, there's probably churches filled with people getting edified. You know, just lifted up. Just, you know, not today, not here. All right, this is a Baptist church. And we just read out Deuteronomy. So the title of my sermon today is Laziness and Gluttony. Laziness and gluttony. Not a fan favorite for anyone because it has been said more than once, Baptists love to eat, right? We love to eat. There's a problem with that, though. There can be a problem with that. Now, I'm preaching to myself, preach to everyone here. Everyone can take away from this. So, and you know, before I start even, this totally wasn't my idea. When the pastor texted me on Friday, he was saying, he wants me to preach on Sunday morning or Sunday. I was talking to my coworker. He's like, oh man, I gotta preach. And he's like, hey, you know, this is one subject I don't really hear about. So don't blame me, blame my coworker. It's his fault. All right. So before I start, I also want to say is people can take this so far as in, because I'm going to talk about gluttony a lot. We're going to talk about laziness, and people can take like this too far about, oh, you should never have anything pleasurable. You know, the Catholics like to say that, you know, whipping themselves, can't have any pleasure at all. You know, that's not right. That's not true. But we can't go so far the other way and just say like everything, every time we open our mouth, it's gotta fill it's got a dopamine rush. You gotta get it all the time. All right, so before we start, let's get some stats in. We're talking about the U.S. and obesity in the U.S. Because gluttony, what does gluttony lead to? It leads to obesity. So over I got this from Wikipedia, over 70 million adults in the U.S. are obese. 70 million. That's a lot of people. How many people are in Canada? Does anybody know? Top of their head? 35 million? There's like half. There's less than half. I mean, that's crazy, right? 70 million adults in the U.S. are obese. So 35 million men, 35 million women. Pretty equal. 99 million are overweight. 45 million women and 54 million men. The NHANES, I don't know what that stands for, 2016 statistics shows that about 39.6% of American adults are obese. 39.6. That's getting close to half, right? That's over a third of people that are obese in America. Men had an age-adjusted rate of 37.9, and women had an adjusted age rate of 41.1%. The CDC provides a data update in May 2017 stating that for adults 20 years and older, the crude obesity rate was 39.8%, and an age-adjusted rate was measured at 39.7, so 40%. Including the obesity, 71%, including the obese, 71.6% of all Americans, so 71.6%, so way over half. Adults aged 20 and above are overweight. And I'll tell you what is overweight, what is obesity. Overweight and obesity are defined as an abnormal and excessive fat accumulation that presents a risk to health. Now, we're Baptists, and we live in North America. We live in a society that, and this one term that kind of, I first heard it like a few years ago. It's called fat shaming. Oh, don't fat shame me or something like that. And people get offended by the word fat. Okay, you shouldn't get offended. Let them get offended out there, but in church we shouldn't get offended. Don't get offended here today because of something I said because I called somebody fat. Like I'm not going to preach exactly towards anybody here. I'm going to preach towards everybody, right? So I'm not going to just call out somebody's name and call them fat. But when I say fat, don't just get all offended and start crying, right? We love coming to church and just love saying amen when the preacher goes and hits on somebody else's sin, but when it hits ours, we get all offended. we shouldn't become. Hey, in the Bible, God talks about, hey, girdle yourself like a man, right? When he's talking about that, he's talking about just learn to take some reproof, right? So don't get all upset when I say the word fat, because I'm going to say the word fat. I'm not going to tone it down just so people don't have to feel bad. Overweight and obesity are defined as abnormal and excessive fat accumulation that presents a risk to health. The body mass index, so BMI, so what is considered overweight, what is considered obese? The body mass index over 25% is considered overweight. So if you've never seen this chart before, you can just Google it quickly. It's a body fat percentage chart. It's just a picture of a bunch of guys with their shirt off. If you want to see where you're at, you basically go in front of the mirror, put your shirt off, and look at these pictures of these other guys, or in a girl's sense. It's if you are a guy, this is guys, this is guys, because girls are different in percentage. So if you're over 25% body fat, you're considered overweight, all right? If you are over 30% body fat, you are considered obese, okay? Now, if you look at the pictures, it's pretty evident that a lot of people are obese. In 2019, an estimated 5 million non-communicable diseases, NCD deaths, were considered by higher than optimal body fat percentage. Right. So a lot of diseases come from being unhealthy. And where does this all start with? Where does obesity start with? It starts with gluttony. Hey, you don't get fat, you don't get big, you don't become obese by just eating till you're full and stop it, right? You get true gluttony. So my first point is where gluttony will bring you. Where gluttony will bring you. And my first sub point there is, it is an attribute. Oh, I hate saying this word. It's an attribute. Thank you. I had it over my head, and then you see you're right up here. Go. Attribute of a wicked man. This is going to be a trigger warning because it's in Deuteronomy, and people don't like this what God said here in Deuteronomy 21, starting there in verse 18. And I'll read, if any man have a stubborn and a rebellious son, which will not obey the voice of his father or the voice of his mother, and that when they have chastised him will not hearken unto them, then shall his father and his mother lay hold on him and bring him unto the elders of his city and unto the gate of his place. This is like the parents are whipping this boy, but he's just not listening. He's not doing anything. He's just, everything they're doing, tell him they're doing something else. And they shall say unto the elders of this city, this our son is stubborn and rebellious. He will not obey our voice. He is a glutton and a drunkard. A glutton and a drunkard is this person, this wicked person that refuses to obey their parents, refuses to listen, refuses any kind of correction, probably just sits on his butt. He's 36 years old. He's living in his mom's basement, refuses to go to work. He's got a new plan, a new idea how he can make money the easiest possible way. Every week he's got this new thing he's trying to push, refuses to work. All he does is eat. All he does is just drink. And all he does is being a drain on society. And you got to think, and people, they get all offended when they read this part. I can't believe God commands parents to take their children and get them killed. You know, but first of all, you should read, it says the parents took the child there because they've tried everything. The parents aren't commanded to do it. The parents, they have that option to do that. And you got to think about a person, a son or a daughter that gets to the point where their own parents is like, you're so useless, you're better off dead. You got to think about, like, I'm a dad. You know, I have a wife, and my wife's a mom. You got to think about how bad that kid's going to have to be before that's going to happen. Because if the whole world hates you, you still got your mom. But in that case, this boy doesn't have his mom. And what happens? And all the men of his city shall stone him with stones, that he die, so that thou shalt put evil away from among you, and all Israel shall hear and fear. All right, so what was the point of all that? You're going to hear about it, you're going to fear about it. So when the parents come, hey, you start getting to work, you start listening, or you're going to mayor. We're going to talk to the mayor. Like, this kid, he's going to shape up pretty quickly. So it's it's like, do we want to be anything like these wicked person, like somebody that gets to that point? I think this guy could even be a reprobate if you get to that point where the parents don't even want to have anything to do with him. We shouldn't, as Christians, be anything like these wicked people. Turn to Romans 1. A nice acknowledgement here, celebrating the end of Fag Month. Let's go to Romans 1. That's bookend June here, with a good old-fashioned Romans 1. And let's talk about there at the end of Romans 1, starting in verse 29. Being filled with all unrighteousness, fornication, wickedness, covetousness, maliciousness, full of envy, murders, debate, deceit, malignity, whisperers, backbiters, haters of God, despiteful, proud, boasters, inventors of evil things, disobedient to parents, without understanding, covenant breakers, without natural affection, implacable, unmerciful, who knowing the judgment of God, that they which commit such things are worthy of death, not only do the same, but have pleasure in them that do them. All right, so we got a list of pretty bad things that these sodomites, these faggots, contribute to, and we as Christians should work in not doing any of these things on this list. It says they're implacable. What's implacable? You cannot be satisfied, right? And just like that guy, that son that got to the point in his life where his parents just have to get rid of him because he's such a gluttonous, such a person that fills himself with so much food. We shouldn't be like that. We shouldn't be implacable when it comes to filling our plate. So yeah, I wanted to go to Romans 1, especially, like I said, bookend a good old-fashioned June. This June, that shit hasn't been bad. I've seen like one fag flag. Not even a true flag. It's just like, when you're on LinkedIn and somebody changed their profile to the fag thing. I haven't even seen that many things. Hopefully it's dying down, but it probably won't be. All right, second sub point, it will cost you your health. Judges, if you want to turn to Judges 3, verse 15. Judges 3, it will cost you your health. What's it gonna cost? What's gluttony? What are we talking about? We're talking about gluttony, and it's can't say that word. If of a wicked person, and we shouldn't want to be anything like them. Gluttonous. If somebody calls us gluttonous, we don't want to be anything like this son or this daughter. Judges 3. Starting there in verse 15. What are we talking about here? We're talking about... Oh, that's Judges 8. That's why that doesn't look right. Judges 3, verse 15. All right, I'm just going to read a little bit there. But when the children of Israel cried unto the Lord, the Lord raised them up and delivered Ehud the son of Gera, a Benjamite, a man left-handed, and by him the children of Israel sent a present unto Elon, the king of Moab. So if you've ever read the book of Judges, it's a constant roller coaster, constant roundabout that the children of Israel go do. They're on the top, they're serving God, and then they start not serving God, and then God sends somebody to punish them, and they cry to God, and he sends a judge, and it just keeps going. They get better, they get right with God, and it just keeps going, just constant roundabout that they do here. Over here, Elon, the king of Moab, is the one that God sent to judge them, and they cried, and Ehud, a man left-handed, yes, because left-handed people don't get much recognition, which we should. Man, left-handed. So he made this is the way God used him to help. And Ehud made him a dagger, which there in 16, verse 16, which had 2 edges and a cubit length, so about pretty big line. So you gotta think of cubit. As far as I know, cubit is from here to here, right? So that's a pretty big dagger. It's a big dagger. It's big, right? So keep that in mind, the length of that. And he did gird it under his raiment upon his right thigh. So left-handed guy, right thigh, like that. Okay. And he brought the present unto Eglon, king of Moab, and Eglon was a very fat man. Oh, the Bible said fat. Oh, we got to cancel it. I'm surprised the new versions, I don't even know, maybe they even changed that. Did they change that? I don't know. Check it later. Surprised you even say that. That's fat shame. You're fat shaming Eglon. Eglon. And when he had made an end to offer the present, he sent away the people that bare the present. There in verse 19, but he himself turned again from the quarries that were by Gilgal and said, I have a secret errand unto thee, O king. Who said, keep silence. The king said, keep silence. And all that stood by him went out from him. And Ehud came unto him, and he was sitting in a summer parlor, which he had for himself alone. And Ehud said, I have a message from God unto thee. And he arose out of his seat, and Ehud put forth his left hand, and took the dagger out of his right belly, from his right thigh, and thrust it into his belly. Again, it's big. It's big. And the handle, also went in after the blade, and the fat enclosed upon the blade, so that he could not draw the dagger out of his belly, and the dirt came out. Think about it. So blade this big. I don't know if that's just the blade. Maybe that's with the handle. It could possibly be that's just the blade, not even the handle. It could be that it's the handle too. Doesn't matter. The blade is probably like that much longer. I mean, the handle is probably that much longer. And it went right in, and then it not only went in, he must have pushed it farther in because the fat just enclosed the longest. You know, if Eglon would have just been a little bit more conservative about his eating skills, he might have been seeing this coming. He might have not been able to, you know how people when they get really big, they can't even move very much. You just got to be on those real strollers. To that point, that if he would have been that, you could have saved your life if you weren't that big. You know, some guy's coming up to you. The least you could have done is maybe kick him away, but you couldn't because he's too fat to even move. All right, so it could cost you your health. Yeah, that makes me think of a video that my coworker showed me of this overweight, or let's just call it this fat woman, that fell down when pushing her baby stroller. Okay, so the way it is, it was a CVT camera at I think a gas station or something like that, and she fell over, she tripped, and I guess as she tripped, she pushed the stroller into oncoming traffic. All right, so the baby's in the stroller, but she couldn't, because she was so big, couldn't get up because she's big. Thank God there was a guy walking and he stopped the baby. But what if he wasn't? There's oncoming traffic. Those cars never seen it coming. But you couldn't get up because you were too big. Your baby could have died because you're too big. And you know what? Having this personality that every time I open my mouth, I gotta be satisfied. I gotta have a part in my mouth every time. Every time I go out, I gotta have a Coke. I gotta have a Pepsi. Every meal. I hate water. And I've worked with people like this. I've literally worked with a guy that says, I hate the taste of water. And every lunch break, he's got like a 2-liter can of Coke every time because he hates water. Right? You don't need a soft drink every time you eat. You don't need a dessert every single day. It's called a treat for a reason. All right, but there's people out there that every supper is like, okay, we're done supper. Where's dessert? You don't need that. You don't need a party every month. Learn to eat raw vegetables. Learn to get, it's like, oh, I don't like the taste. Suck it up. Suck it up, Buttercup. Eat it. You know, when I was young, when I was a kid, my parents made me eat my peas. Made me eat my vegetables. I didn't like them. You know what I learned to do? Because I knew I had to eat them. I ate them first. Yep. I got them out of the way. And you know, right now I'm older, I'm taking seconds. I like peas. I like mixed vegetables because I got used to it. It's like, no, I'm not taking any vegetables. I'm just eating pizza. The pizza has pepper on there. There's good vegetables. No. You know how your plate's supposed to look? You know? Think about a plate. Here's your portion size. Half vegetables. No. Yeah, half vegetables. Now let's go another piece. And we got quarter. Then let's split it down. And let's do your meats. You need your protein. You need your healthy proteins. And then carbs. You need carbs. You know, I'm not for the no carb thing. You know, I think it could work for a certain amount of time. But I think for long term, you need carbs. Right? You can't just live your life just like, and this is the far the other spectrum. It's like, I'm never eating carbs, you know, it's like always just cold hard meat, you know, no spice, no nothing. I'm just gonna eat everything raw, nothing tastes good. Hey, salt loss of savor. Jesus himself said, right? If the salt loss of savor, how are you gonna salt? You know, salt's there for a reason, use it. Right? Nothing wrong with having a good flavor. Nothing wrong with having good flavored vegetables. But it comes to the point where you're like, I got to get my vegetables in daily. I'm just going to grab some raw cauliflower. I'm going to grab some raw broccoli. I'm going to grab some raw cabbage. Raw carrots. Carrots are amazing. Love carrots. Love sugar snap peas. They're amazing. Yeah, you do too. I know you do. Another thing it'll cost you. So what were we talking about? We're talking about what is gluttony going to cost you? What is gluttony going to cost you? We talked about first, you know, it's an attribute. It's an attribute of just wicked people. Number two, it will cost you your health. It's going to cost you your health. Right. Number three, it's going to cost you time and money. It's going to cost you time and money. Proverbs 23. If you want to turn to Proverbs 23, starting there in verse 19. Proverbs 23, verse 19. It's going to cost time and money. Hear thou, my son, be wise and guide thy heart in the way. Be not among winebibbers, among riotous eaters of flesh. For the drunkard and the glutton shall come to poverty, and drowsiness shall clothe a man with rags. And drowsiness shall clothe a man with rags. Riotous eaters of flesh. What does that mean? Riotous eaters of flesh. Let's define riotous. It's characterized by the wild, uncontrolled behavior. The wild, uncontrolled behavior. You know, eating 5 times a day till your belly blows. It's like, oh, I can't even move. I've been there. Hey, I'm preaching to myself too. All right? I have a problem with overeating. Okay? But you know, I'm trying. 5 times a day till your belly blows. It's expensive. Meat's not cheap. It's the last time we bought a steak. Last time some pork, some chicken. You know, you eat 5 times a day. You know how much it takes chicken, how many chicken you gotta eat? Chicken drumsticks you gotta eat before your belly blows? Some people, a lot. It's expensive. Let's define drowsiness. So riotous eaters of flesh. You think of that riotous eaters of flesh, that uncontrolled, just like, and who are those riotous eaters of flesh? And that's a command there. Don't be among wine bibbers. We always like, amen to that. Yeah, we don't want no wine. We don't want to be around these alcoholics. But don't forget the next part. Among rioters, eaters of flesh. Hey man, I love burgers. I love burgers. I like a big burger. But is that right? Sitting down and eating a burger when you're half done, you're so full I can't move, and just still shoving it in? That's gluttony. That is gluttony. That's not right. That is a command by God right there in Proverbs. A man of God, by the Spirit of God, just shoving food down after you're done. You're full. Your body says, no more, but you're just like, you're taking more. Here's some fries. I'm going to wash it down with a Coke. That's wicked. Among rioters, eaters of flesh. For the drunkard and the glutton. It's like, oh, the drunkard, yeah, the drunkard. And the glutton shall come to poverty. And drowsiness shall clothe a man with rags. What is drowsiness? A feeling of being sleepy and lethargic. Sleepiness, lethargic sleepiness. It's sleepiness. Just eating till you're like, oh, I can't move. I don't want to do anything. It's just like, time to take a nap. You know? Drowsiness. Drowsiness at work. You think that's going to get you somewhere? When all you are, every time the boss sees you, he's like, oh man, when is the day going to end? Sucks. I don't want to be here. Working at a turtle's place. You know, nothing happening at home because you get home, you eat supper, you pass out on your couch, not getting any of your projects done. You're not going to get a raise. The boss is not going to give you a raise because you're just dragging your butt. You're doing the absolute 100%, the minimum, because you don't have the energy. Because you failed it's like nothing wrong with eating good food. But you got to understand, some food for different people affect people other ways. You know, my wife, she can't eat certain foods. If she does, she's tired. She's done. There's not as much as she pushes herself. She's tired. She just wants to pass out and sleep because that certain food affects herself. That takes time to figure out. That takes money to figure out which food affects you. So you're not going to get a raise at work because you're just dragging your butt. Because you're doing the minimum. And the boss is not going to raise because you're barely making your own paycheck. And where did it all start from? Start with gluttony. Start with eating your mouth full. Ecclesiastes 10:16, you don't have to turn there, I'm just going to read it. 10:16 to 17. Woe unto thee, O land, when thy king is a child, and thy princes eat in the morning. Blessed art thou, O land, when thy king is a son of nobles, and thy princes eat in due season. For what? For strength, and not for drunkenness. All right, so blessed is the land. Oh, woe unto thee, a land, when thy king is a child and thy princes eat in the morning. What do you mean? What does it mean? Like, we can't have breakfast? No, what you're saying is they're eating before they even worked up an appetite. They're eating in the morning. That's all they're doing, is eating in the morning. It's good to have breakfast. It's good to get a good foundation, but you don't have to eat like a supper in the morning. You know, breakfast, a couple eggs, that's good to go. You don't need to just fill your belly up totally full in the morning just to get, you know, you're just going to turn out, you're just going to get tired, you're just going to get lazy. All right, then blessed art thou, O land, when thy king is and thy princes. So when thy princes, how is the land blessed? When thy princes eat in due season, like they're eating, and they're eating their breakfast, their lunch, and their dinner. They're not having snacks in between, you know, they're not eating 10 times a day. And why are they eating? For strength. It's like, man, we worked our butt off today. Use my brain as much as I can. I need to eat because I am feeling like I need more fuel. Not because, oh man, I just want to eat just to get that taste. They eat for strength and not for drunkenness. The land is cursed because the leaders eat before they even get worked up an appetite. All right, so that right there is gluttony. Oh, you're like, wow, we got through that one. So what's the title of the sermon? Laziness and gluttony. But before I move on to laziness, let's talk about gluttony. Let's look at the sub-points. It is an aptitude of a wicked man. That's why we don't want to be. All right, we don't want to be anything like the facts. We don't be anything like this wicked child, this wicked probably adult or young adult or whatever the heck it was, that it got to his parents to the point where he's better off dead. We don't want to be, and another thing is, another sub point, it will cost you your health. Being a glutton will cost you your health. Another thing about being a glutton, it will cost you time and money. All right, so let's go to the next thing is where laziness will bring you. Where laziness. What is laziness? The definition of laziness is the quality of being unwilling to work or use energy, idleness, or in other words, the Bible uses slothful. Slothful. If you ever seen the animal sloth, you kind of just like slowly move, right? As you piss him off, and then for some reason he's just deadly. But he's slothful. So my first subpoint is never getting anything done. Proverbs 15, if you want to turn there, verse 19 says, the way of a slothful man is as an hedge of thorns. Actually, you know what? Go to Proverbs 26. Go to Proverbs 26 if you want to. The way of a slothful man is as a hedge of thorns, but the way of the righteous is made plain. So what does that mean? The way of a slothful man is like a hedge of thorns. All right. So what does that lazy man do? He's like, I can't go there. There's a thorn bush in the way. All the time. Every time. I can't. These people that I'm gonna dub right now, the I can't people. The I can't people. We've all worked with them. You know, we've been them. I can't do this. Like the guy, I can't, like it says right there in Proverbs, I can't go that way. There's a thorn bush in the way. Yeah, I can't do that job. I don't have the right tools. I can't do that job. It's way too high. I don't want to go get the ladder. It's too lazy to go get the ladder and get that thing off. I can't. I can't. It's like, I can't. Hey, can you fix this? Oh, no, I can't. Just the I can't people. Oh, it's like, oh, I can't mop the floor because, I don't have the right broom. That broom sucks. That mop sucks. I can't do it. A mom tells his daughter, hey, can you go sweep the floor? Oh, I can't find the broom. You haven't looked for it. Or, no, this broom's too high. Well, figure out a technique where you can use it. Boss, I can't fix this car because I don't have this tool. It's like, well, figure it out. That's the tool we got. We gotta get this vehicle going. We gotta get this out of here. We gotta move it. Yeah, I can't, people. Proverbs 26 says, the slothful man saith, there is a lion in the way. A lion is in the streets. As the door turneth upon his hinges, so do the slothful upon his bed. Right, again, the lazy man says, there's a lion outside. I'm not going out there. It's raining. I'm not going outside. I'm not working outside. There's a snowstorm coming. I'm not driving to work. Well, some snowstorms, if it's a real snowstorm, don't do it. This is Manitoba. Like it could be like, you can never know. Some snowstorm, you won't see your front windshield. It's so thick. So you gotta be careful now. But if that's your excuse, every time I'm like, oh man, I saw one snowflake, cancel work, I'm staying home all day. Vacation days, woohoo. And it says, as the door turned upon his hinges, so do the sloth, so does the lazy man upon his bed. The lazy man that just like, I can't do anything because this big this so-called obstacle is in my way. I'm not going to do that. He's the same person that refuses to go out of bed in the morning. Like, I'm just gonna go left to right, and that's what I do. He's not sleeping. He's moving left and right in his bed. He just refuses. I don't want to get up and start my day and do the stuff I have to do. To the lazy, there's always a lion, a thorn bush, an obstacle that they will never try to overcome. Or in their mind, they can't overcome. There's always going to be obstacles in life. That's you should be happy. You should thank God for the obstacles in your life. That makes you smarter. That makes you a harder worker. If you overcome those obstacles is what builds your brain. The people that actually never have any obstacles, they die earlier and they're dumber. Right? They're just dumber. Obstacles, learning, like trying to figure something out, fighting those obstacles in your life and overcoming them, make you a better person, make you a better worker, and make you just overall just better. Okay, second sub point here for laziness. First sub point was never getting anything done. You never get anything done because you're just, there's a lion outside. It could be a bear in the bush. Wanting, and the second sub point there is wanting everything everyone else has, but too lazy to go work for it yourself. And that is something that lazy people do. Big time, big time. Proverbs 21, if you want to turn there, too lazy to go get it yourself. We've all met people like this. People that are just, everything out of their mouth is just, give me. Give me, I want, this guy has his car. This guy has his house. This guy has his wife. This guy has this. But refusing, too lazy to go to work and get there. Like the panhandlers. Let me read this first before I move on. The desire of the slothful, the desire of the lazy man, killeth him. For his hands refuse to labor. He covenant greedily all the day long, but the righteous give it and spare it not. The why can't people is a why I can't have, the why I can't I have that people. All right, so we talked about the why I can't people. Now we're going to talk about the why I can't I have that people. Why can't I have that house? Why can't I have that car? Why can't I have that vacation? Why can't I have that guy's paycheck? Because maybe he spent 10 years in school, 7 years in school, getting to that paycheck. Maybe he spent 10 years working his butt off at a work, starting pushing broom in a trade, and maybe that's why he's got that paycheck. Maybe he spent his spare time, instead of strolling TikTok, strolling just garbage all the time, maybe he spent his time learning skills at home at his spare time. And then he's bringing that to work, and the boss is like, I need this guy. I'm paying this guy more because I got to keep him around. Because good workers are paying more. All right? This paycheck, why can't I have that? That's communism in a nutshell right there. It's like, why everyone should have everything the same. It's like, and is it Karl Marx that came up with this crap? It's like, wow, these haves and haves not. And why can't we have? Because maybe they didn't work for what they got, but I can guarantee that their dad, their grandfather worked their butt off to get up there so their son can have a better life. It's like, I don't look at rich people and envy them. I don't look at rich people and just look at them as like, why do they have to have that money? Because, well, they've not, all they did is just, they're just, what do you call this word? You know when your parents leave you something, inheritance, puppy or something like that. There's a word for it though. They just inherited everything. They didn't work for anything. Well, you know what? Their parents did. You know what? Their dad did. Their grandfather did. Maybe their great-grandfather did, so they can have a better life. Somebody in that family line worked his butt off. You got like North America. Everybody's like, oh, why is North America so rich and we're so poor? Because people went to work. North America was built on the backs of a working society. Not a society that stole your land. Not a society. America, when it came here, it was a beautiful country. But it became, like the old term, like the American dream, became at the backs of American workers. Canadian workers that worked their butt off. That went to work, that shut their mouth, did what they had to do, put the shovel in the ground, bring up the dirt, working 12-hour days, working 16-hour days, just putting in so their children can have a better life. And you know what they did? We live in a prosperity. We live in one of the richest countries in the world, in pure luxury. with who's higher? Like Dubai, yeah, like a small percentage of people. But Canada, America, very rich because of what our fathers worked for. Not because they were lazy, not because they sat around and just complained all the time, like, oh, why can't we be like Britain? You know, before the war of independence, oh, we just want to have what Britain has. No, they didn't. They got up and they worked and they became something now. Now, who the heck wants to go live in Britain? I don't like to live in Britain. Britain is a crap hole. Well, I never lived there, so no. Maybe it's nice. When I think of vacation places, Britain, not on the map. Why would I want to go there? Britain's not a crap hole. I don't want to live there. Where was I? Because, Proverbs 24:30 says, I went by the field of the slothful. Yeah, that's another thing. And by the vineyard of the man void of understanding. Looks like that cut off. Proverbs 24, verse 30 there. Proverbs 24, verse 30. So, he went by the field of the slothful and by the vineyard of the man void of understanding. So we got a lazy person's field. How did he get that field? Probably from a hardworking dad that spent his years trying to pay off this field, and his son inherits it. And he's just a lazy, useless son. And this guy, he's like, I went by to sleep. Let's see where it brings him. See what happens, what he sees. And lo, it was all grown over with thorns, and nettles had covered the face thereof, and the stone wall thereof was broken down. Then I saw, and I considered it well. I looked upon it and received instruction. Yet a little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to sleep. So shall thy poverty come as one that travaileth, and thy want as an armed man. So where did laziness bring this kid? Poverty, poor. You think he lost? You think he still has a vineyard? No, he lost everything. Because of what? Because he's just lazy. That he's just like, I'm just gonna sleep 5 more minutes. Put that alarm on, snooze for 5 more minutes. Always late for work. Always, why's the boss? And yeah, I'm not getting that. Why? Yeah, always late for work. Always complaining. Because you're too lazy to get out of your bed. Or maybe you're not too lazy to bed. Maybe you're just too lazy to go to bed. You just want to keep strolling at night. And you're so tired tomorrow. You're useless tomorrow. So another point here. So my laziness, never getting anything done. Laziness, wanting everything everybody else has, but too lazy to go get it for yourself. And then the third point there, laziness. You're not right with God if you're lazy. All right. Everyone has those days where you're kind of tired. People get sick. But if it's a perpetual thing in your life, that sleeping every day, refuse to get up, refuse to do anything, you're not right with God. And you say, how can you say that? Hebrews 6. Verse 9, if you want to turn there, it's up to you. I'm going to start reading there, verse 9. But beloved, we are persuaded better things of you, and things that accompany salvation, though we thus speak. For God is not unrighteous to forget your work and labor of love, which ye have shewed toward his name, in that ye have ministered to the saints, and do minister. And we desire that every one of you do shew the same diligence, to the full assurance of hope unto the end. All right, there, verse 12. That ye be not slothful, but followers of them who, through faith and patience, inherit the promises. That's a command that Paul, I think Paul wrote the book of Hebrews, said that ye be not slothful. He's commanded, do not be lazy. We're commanded not to be lazy. We're commanded not to be lazy. I'll just read this. You don't have to turn it. Romans 12:11 says, not slothful in business. So not lazy in business, fervent in his spirit, serving the Lord. If you want to turn to 2 Thessalonians 3, it says, starting in verse 10, 2 Thessalonians 3, verse 10, you're not right with God because we are commanded there in Romans 12 not to be slothful. In Hebrews 6, it says that ye be not slothful. There's 2 places already. It says, don't be lazy. 2 Thessalonians 3:10 says, for even when we were with you, this we commanded you, that if any man would not work, neither should he eat. All right, he's commanded, hey, if you do not work, you shouldn't even eat. Verse 11, for we heard that there are some which walk among you disorderly, working not at all, but are busybodies. Now them that are such we command and exhort by our Lord Jesus Christ, that with quietness they work and eat their own bread. But ye, brethren, be not weary in well-doing. For if any man obey not our word by this epistle, note that man and have no company with him, that we may be ashamed. Yet count him not as an enemy, but admonish him as a brother. He says, don't have a company with a man that refuses to work. He says, if you refuse to work, you shouldn't eat. You know what? And that's that is and the people that just jump into mind right now every time is just stupid panhandlers. Just sitting at every corner, there's a panhandler just begging for money, just asking for money. You know, I used to give them money for some dumb reason, and then I started reading the Bible more and just realized they're just lazy bums. Some of them are younger than me. They look in better, I don't know about better shape. They're usually just skinny on crack or something. I don't know. But a lot of them better shape, look stronger, look like they could work. They could actually go out and get a job. But they're just sitting there just asking for money, And it's just terrible to see that. And it's like those people, what we should do, I hope none of you give them money. I wish nobody would give them money. I wish they would just starve a little bit. And that will give us some motivation to get to work. You know, just go a little hungry. But no, people just constantly give them money. You know, years ago, this is years ago. I don't know how it is now. My dad gave money to one of these panhandlers, and my dad told him, now go get a job. You know what he said? A job? I'm making $200 a day. These people are making money for doing nothing. Yep. And you think they have like something to be rewarded? You think that's going to reward them? You think they're happy? You think they're happy just taking that money? In their mind, they're not going to have motivation to do anything because they're too lazy. It's like it's a vicious cycle. They don't do any work, so their brain doesn't give them any dopamine to go back to work. They just sit there and get them. So they're too lazy to go get a job. But what's making them lazy is just sitting on their butt being lazy. Yep. It's a visual cycle, a vicious cycle that they will never happen. That they'll never escape. And you know what's going to help them escape? If they were like, if I don't eat tomorrow, I'm going to die. Yeah. That's going to help them escape that crap. You know what? Some of them probably would ever rather die than get a job. That's pathetic. Yeah. If you refuse to work, you're pathetic. Amen. I don't care if that offends anybody. If you don't work for your own household, there's something popping in my brain here. They that refuse somewhere. Yeah, you know where that is? He's worse than an infidel. If you don't even provide for your own house. That's paraphrasing, but you're pathetic if you don't even provide for your own family. Oh, I'm going to get a job next week. I'm just going to have EI for the next 6 months. You know, EI's running out in 3 weeks. I'm going to go look for a job in 2. Yeah, you know, I know people like that. Just refuse to labor. It's like, well, I'm over 50 years old. I just want to retire. I just want to give up. I just can't do this anymore. That's the only thing keeping you alive. The only thing keeping you alive is that hard labor. The only thing that's keeping you motivated was that hard labor. Did you find it? 1 Timothy 5:8. 1 Timothy 5:8. Thank you. But if any provide not for his own, and especially for those of his own household, he had denied the faith and is worse than an infidel. Proverbs 29:24, you don't have to turn there, says, a slothful man hideth his hand in his bosom, he will not so much as bring it to his mouth again. Some of these people would rather starve to death than get a job.
So they're like,
Oh, yeah. What does it say there? A lazy man, he's hiding his hand in his pants. You know, he's got to the point he's so lazy he doesn't want to feed himself. Like that's what literally what it says. A slothful man, a lazy man, hiding his hand in his bosom, and will not so much as bring it to his mouth again. Get to the point that you're just too lazy to even cook food. No, you're too lazy to put in a microwave meal. Just like, I'll just eat it raw. Matthew 25 says, 24. You can turn there if you like. Matthew 25:24. Starting in okay, no, stop at 25. Verse 24. Then he which received the one talent. So he's talking about talents. He's talking about Jesus Christ. This is a parable. Jesus Christ says that. How does it go now? He was talking about this parable about a Lord that went away, but before he left, he gave his servants a certain amount of talents, and then he went. When he came back, he received the talents. The one he gave 5 made 10. The one he gave I think 3, he made 6 or something like that. And then he gave 1 talent to one guy, but all he did was went to hide it. And in verse 24 it says, then he which had received the 1 talent came and said, Lord, I knew thee that thou art a hard man, reaping where thou hast not sown, and gathering where thou hast not strawed. And I was afraid, and went and hid thy talent in the earth. Lo, there thou hast, that is thine. And the Lord answered and said unto him, thou wicked and slothful servant, thou knewest that I reap where I sow not, and gathers where I have not strawed. Thou oughtest therefore to have put my money to the exchangers, and then at my coming I should have received my own with usury. Take therefore the talent for him and give it to him that had the 10 talents. For every one that had shall be given, and he that shall have an abundance, and he shall have an abundance, but from him that had not shall be taken away even that which he hath. And cast ye the unprofitable servant into an outer darkness, there shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth. So we got a story here of God gave a person a talent, 1 talent. You know, he gave somebody 5 talents, he didn't even do anything with it. But 1 talent. Right? God gave you something to use. God gave you legs, hands. Even if you didn't, you can use your mind. God gave everybody a brain to use. Most people. And he's like, take this, use it. And you got, are we the ones that have the 1 talent? He says we're so lazy that we won't even use that 1 talent God gave us. Is that going to be us? That we're too lazy to take God's talent that he gave us and not use it? Just throw it to the side, hide it. So that's my second point. Is that where's laziness going to bring you? You'll never get anything done. You're going to just want everything everybody else has, but you're too lazy to go get it yourself. And you're not right with God. So third point, last point. Choose your suffering. Choose your suffering. Okay. Well, so why title of my sermon is Gluttony, Lazy and Gluttonous. Why laziness and gluttony? Because these two things go hand in hand a lot of times. And I know personally myself that when I eat junk food, and y'all know, I can put the junk food away. Right? I got same problem. I got to work on it. All that I work on it. I feel like my if I eat food, garbage foods that's not very nutritious, I find that my mood goes. Definitely. My mood, different. Crappy mood. Anger can flare up like that. It's like, oh, that's not real. That can't be. Well, maybe because you've eaten nothing but junk food and all the mood you have is just a bad mood. Because I've had good mood. I've been to the point where I didn't eat junk food. I ate good, nutritious food, and I felt energetic. I felt great. Get up, get to work on Monday morning. It's like, how's everybody doing? I'm ready to work. And they're all like, oh, where's the coffee? Maybe you don't know this is because the only mood you got is just crap. Eat so much crap, this is me personally, what I feel when I eat this garbage. You get more angry, your mood sucks. I have a less drive if you go to church. It does affect you, that too. I have a less drive to go soul winning. It's like, oh, that's so good. Oh, I don't want to go out there. You just want to sit down, not move out of the couch, not get out of bed. It's like, how can I just get up and not go to church? And what comes after that? If you actually give into that? You think your brain's just like happy now? You think your mood's gone? You think your bad mood's gone? No, it just keeps getting worse and worse. And then he's like, well, what am I gonna do the rest of the day? I don't want to do anything else. Just stroll your phone, get that dopamine going. Unnatural amount of dopamine in your brain that your brain can't even handle it. I know I said this, I'm going to say it again. You don't need a party in your mouth every time you open your mouth. You don't need a Pepsi, you don't need a Coke, you don't need a junk food every time, every day, every single day. It's a treat. It should be a treat. It should be like once a week, even maybe less than that. But God doesn't expect us, all guys. He doesn't expect every guy to have a six-pack, right? He doesn't expect every girl to be a zero, okay? Besides zero, not very nice. It's actually kind of gross. He doesn't expect that. He doesn't expect a mom. But could we at least keep it under 30%? Could we at least stop eating when our body and our brain says, I'm full? Could we slow down while we're eating? Maybe I got a problem with this, 100%. Take a bite, chew it, maybe put the fork down. Not just keep shoving it. It's like, this one's going halfway down, I'm putting more. Constantly food in there, constantly food. Just like, I got the dopamine done, I got the pleasure from that food, and now I gotta get more, constantly more. Could we keep it under 30%? Guys, women, could we keep it under 40%? That's not that bad. Or at the least, it's like, well, I don't want to go weightlifting. Could we just stay where we're at, not get worse? If you could just stop eating when your belly's like, I'm full, and just like use pop as like just a treat. Candy is just a treat. Then at least you could just maintain. Not get worse. Choose where you want to suffer. Will you suffer now having a plate full of vegetables? A little carbs and some healthy protein? Or are you going to suffer in the future? You get 30, 40, 50 years old and you're just popping pills to stay alive. Never going to make it to 60. Because you look like you're 80. But you're 60. Because of just your food choice. Because you couldn't control yourself. Because you chose to suffer in the future. You're choosing. You're just gluttonous. You're just lazy right now. You're choosing to suffer in the future. Because that pleasure you feel, that dopamine release that you feel for the 3 seconds that you feel it. That's literally all. Every bite is that taste. It's like 3 seconds, and then you need more in order to keep that going. As you're chewing quickly to get the next in. what that looks like in the future as you do. Yeah, so what that looks like in the future is just a bad mood, laziness, gluttony, a bad attitude, and a lot of anger. Food doesn't cause me anger, yeah. Because that's all you've ever felt. Now, I'm not expecting you guys to count calories. I'm not expecting you to get the app, log everything. It's like, I have 2,000 calories. I'm gonna maintain. I'm gonna go 1,700 just to lose a little bit. I'm gonna go, or if you lost enough, you want to gain muscle, you go up to 2,500. I'm not expecting you guys to do that. It works, 100%. I can personally tell you, count your calorie works. You want to lose weight? Get an app. Count your calories. You will. It works because it makes it. Because you think about it this way, the way it was explained to me is like it's like money in your bank account, right? You put money in. That's the food. You put the food in, and if you have enough money to pay for your bills, and you get down to zero, you're maintaining. Right? So that's just maintenance. If you have more money than your bills, then you're gaining. You're gaining. That's gaining fat. That's gaining weight. If you have not enough money in your bank account, you get into a deficit, then you're losing money. That's losing weight. Right? It makes sense to me. I know I'm very good at explaining it, but that's the best you got right now. You know, we don't all have to go to the gym. But could we get our hearts beating once a week? That'd be so hard. Would it kill us to go for a walk once a week? It's like, I don't have time. You have time to sit on your phone. You have time to go for a 30-minute walk twice a week, maybe. Get your heart beating, maybe. Get your heart pumping. Going for a walk doesn't get your heart pumping. Maybe a speed walk would. And you know what? And stop eating when you're full. Because besides, if you eat more, your body says you're full, it's gluttonous. And that's not right. And being hungry, it's like, I'm hungry. Oh, imagine that. Actually feeling hungry. Yeah. Think about it this way. If I'm feeling hungry, I'm losing weight. At a certain point. Why? Why should I lose weight? Why shouldn't I eat my face full? Why? What will it give you? You know, it'll give you energy. You know that thing that you need coffee for? The energy drinks? It'll give you energy to serve God. To be happy, to be more confident. Come on, confidence. It seems like it's something everybody that you walk past nowadays, everybody on the street, they're just not confident anymore. Everybody's just walking with their foot down. I don't know if it's like a constant human evolution because of the phones that their necks are permanently lost there, but everybody's walking like that. Even if they don't have a phone in front of them, they're just walking like that because no one has confidence anymore. No one can't say anything anymore. Nobody can't take any reproof anymore. Nobody. Why? It probably starts with the belly. Where you eat, what you put in. You go put water in your gas tank and see how far you get with your car. You're not getting anywhere. Or just go ahead. Eat till your belly blows. Drink a soft drink every time. You hate water. Get up, do the minimum. Hate your job. Your boss hates you, but he needs you around because nobody else wants to work. See, he could use it. If he could use a mannequin, he would. He can't because you can move your hands. Get a call from a doctor when you're 30, 35, 40 years old. It's like, well, I'm diabetic now. We're going to have to take your leg. And you see that. You're going down Main Street. People in wheelchairs got no legs. Where did that come from? Just eating crap. too sick to play with your kids, too sick to go out soul winning, too sick to go to church, too sick to work, too sick that you need to give you a little stroller because you can't walk anymore. Just popping pills for the rest of your life because you can't function. Going to Advils, going to Tylenol, going to morphine more than you go to water. The only way you're drinking water is because you're taking the pills down on it. That's your choice. That's your choice. It's not my choice. For my choice, I want to eat better. I want to live healthier. I want to be skinny. You know, I want to be fit. That's a goal. Life is about goals. Once you read the Bible and you understand, even when you're a baby Christian, you're like, oh man, I gotta stop drinking. And then you stop drinking. It's like, oh, there's another thing. I gotta stop doing that thing. And then and you just realize it's never gonna stop because that's what life is. It's all about achieving a goal, getting there, and like, yes, I did it. And then knowing that there's another one. Mm-hmm. There's nothing wrong with having a goal. You need goals. If you don't have goals and you just want to just coast, all right, I'm 50 years old now. I worked 40 years or 20 years, whatever, 40, 30 years. I'm done. I just want to maintain. You're going to be dead in 10 years. Yep. It's your choice. You choose your suffering. You choose where you're going to be in 10, 20 years. If you're making that far in 5 years. You think you just sit on your butt, do nothing, eat everything, just get dopamine rush. Just get that dopamine rush on your phone. Get that dopamine rush every time you open your mouth. We end up nowhere. Paul says, I die daily. He says, Jesus himself said, take up your cross and follow me. You know why? Because you got to continually, you got to use your brain. The people that stop learning, their mind goes. Okay. That's what I got for you today. Let's bow our heads, let's pray. Thank you, Almighty Father, for a beautiful day, Lord. Thank you for the blessing that we have. This opportunity with such, with so many things you've given us. But Lord, help us not to take that for granted and just to fill our minds and our bellies with this garbage, Lord. But help us to know to have some discipline and just to just take that in, take your blessing in, but to know that too much is going to be too much, Lord. Bless the people that have heard this, Lord. Help them to take it in and to understand being fat, it's not a good thing. Being lazy is not a good thing. That you want us to be healthy, be ready to serve, Lord. And thank you for your amazing blessing. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.